Can't put that in there. Oh man, I started the video off like I had epilepsy.
Listen, all I'm gonna say is, don't say I didn't tell you so.
This is It's That Type of News, and I'm Dutch.
No, this is that type of we told you so. This is what that type of is today. We said weeks ago, if you break the law, you are subject to the penalties that the law subjects.
I just finished the Lord, pal. Subject
To the laws of law.
to the law of the land.
The land.
Subject to.
Whatever. Y'all know what I'm talking about.
I'm a math professor.
I'm not. I failed math.
Either way,
School is with the smart people. Don't go.
tell them why. Why don't you tell them why you're gluten?
No, I'm not gluten right now, but due to a series of, let's call it unfortunate events, several members of the Bermuda Industrial Union have received court summonses in reflection to the December 2nd protests.
That's almost like killing a dragon, because I know for a fact that we ain't seen any legal action against the union since I've been alive.
What? This is what I'm saying. I'm like, you know.
I mean, you might as well. You know,
Okay, all right, the body bowman. Killing Smaug.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, when have you actually ever heard like the court system take any sort of move towards the union ever in the long storied history of breaking our constitution and smashing it up into tiny pieces and blowing the nose with it? When have you actually seen legal action? This is what I want to know.
Never have I ever.
So,
Nah.
what's changed?
Well, this is the deal. And this is what people need to understand. We said this before, but we're going to shoehorn this point in again. You cannot prevent members of parliament from going into the House building, court building. You cannot prevent them from doing their jobs. Whether or not you like them or not, or whether or not you agree with them, those are the people that we as a country elected to run the country, and you're preventing them from essentially running the country. Number one. Number two, you cannot protest on the street without notifying Corporation of Hamilton or the police?
Corporation of Hamilton.
Corporation of Hamilton.
Both,
Yeah,
actually.
both. You have to give them a couple days notice so they can block the street off, so as to make sure that it doesn't slow down traffic.
So it can be an actual peaceful protest.
Exactly.
Cordoned off by the police supporting your protest.
Exactly.
Not having to come down there and move you because you're breaking the law.
Mm-hmm. Number three, you cannot shut down public transportation without giving 3 to 5 days notice.
Yeah.
So that the average everyday people who do not have their own private transportation can make sure that they can get to work. So kids can make sure that they go to school. I mean, I know the union likes to shut down the bus services, but I don't think you'll understand that actually hurts the island more than it helps it.
I guarantee you that if homosexuals gathered together and went and blocked off the street.
What?
No, what I'm saying, literally, people only friggin' believe that it is allowed because they believe in something.
Mm-hmm.
But if you didn't believe in the issue and it was blocking you from getting to work, I'm pretty certain you'd be pissed off.
You know, for what? It was homosexuals blocking the road for people for trying to get homosexual rights. People, Bermuda would be like, these faggots are sitting there blocking the road more so.
Yeah, and how can you expect us to get to work and do what we gotta do because you want to do what you want to do? But this is the thing that I'm talking about. The same fact applies. Even though you guys have a viewpoint and an opinion, you are entitled to that. But none of us are entitled to inconvenience another person based on that said opinion.
And none of us are entitled to break the law.
Based on said opinion.
Now, what was that? Was I on number 3 or was I on number 4?
4.
Number 4. You cannot fight the police. Listen, I don't care what Ice Cube says. Do not be fighting the po-po. Stop listening to NWA. Stop listening to all that gangster stuff. You cannot call yourself a peaceful protest when we have videos of you lot scuffling with the police officers. Now, the police use pepper spray to disperse the crowd, and everybody will say, oh, that was wrong, that was wrong. But in a situation like that, pepper spray is actually technically warranted because it was a hostile crowd and they were right within their rights. Right within their rights.
Hey, what was that? Flipping Freud slip?
No, that wasn't a Freudian slip. That was a tongue twister. A Freudian slip is when you say something that you really meant, but you meant to say something else.
Well, I had to make sure. I'm just checking.
I said white within their right. No, that was a tongue twister. My bad. My bad.
They're gonna get you.
They've been trying to get me for less than that. We got people all over the place trying to come after that type of party. But either way,
we press on.
We press on.
Yes, we do.
Legally.
Yeah, oh, hallelujah.
we ain't blocking no members of parliament from going into the house, no sir.
Never,
we ain't shutting down no bus services, no sir. Yeah. And we certainly ain't fighting the police.
And we ain't locking arms from the Union House either.
Nope, we ain't doing that.
And we don't really agree with that.
Well,
let me tell you this. The thing is, Nelson Mandela spent years in jail for standing up for what he believed in.
Well, the thing is, the union members and several other people in this group, they all like quoting Nelson Mandela and Dr. Martin Luther King. But remember, Nelson Mandela and Dr. Martin Luther King got locked up for disobeying the law. You lot ain't gonna get arrested.
And the thing is,
probably gonna be a little slap on your wrist, but at least some legal action is being taken against them.
But my point is that you have to go into these protests knowing the repercussions that can happen. When Martin Luther King decided to take his speech and take his movement to the next level, he already knew that he was subject to being arrested by the establishment. He knew that by resisting something that was wrong all the way up top, that he could be subject to incarceration. Same with Nelson Mandela. They knew this. The thing is, when we Bermudians decide to oppose something, we want like people to just shut up and accept that this is the right way. But the thing is, there is no right way. If the other folks from the OBA had blocked the PLP House of Assembly, I would want them friggin' summoned to court too.
But remember, last time there was a OBA protest, it was labeled as a lynch mob.
Oh wow.
that was years ago. You know, that's a whole nother topic for another day. No, this is the thing, you know. This is the thing. Now, Laverne Ferbert.
Nope.
Good old Laverne Ferbert. Where do I start with this? Laverne Ferbert is trying to get the average everyday people to donate to support the court cases and the lawyer fees and everything for the union members. But my thing is,
a GoFundMe page.
Doesn't the union already take money out of people's checks?
Interesting.
Isn't the union already getting enough money from everybody? Mm-hmm. So if the union's getting all this money from everybody, every time somebody gets paid, why do people need to give even more money to people that broke the law?
Well, that might be because it technically wasn't a union movement, wasn't it?
Really?
The People's Campaign? Because
but who was at every People's Campaign meeting?
Oh, I'm not saying
Mr. Perriman.
Listen.
Who was when we went to the People's Campaign meeting? Who was 2 out of the 3 speakers over there?
Oh, listen.
Were they not union members?
What I am.
Was Chris Ferber not one of them?
Well, listen.
Well, then Chris Ferber is subject to the suspension of the law.
Yes, but listen.
Yes.
Okay, your hair going everywhere. Listen.
Your hair's going everywhere.
All right. They cannot call upon that support system because technically they weren't using it at the time, even though they were technically. Now they're wrapped up in their technicality. See what I'm saying?
Well,
either way, I find it to be incredulous that the people, this is the term I keep hearing, the people, are called upon to support Chris Ferbert and the rest of them in the time of need. But wasn't Chris Ferbert in the last article he said where he said the union is now stepping back because the people don't support him, and now he's not going to fight any causes for us anymore?
Something like that.
Yeah, something along those lines.
Another thing Laverne Ferbert said, oh, we need to, like, in the article she was quoted as saying we need to fight the OBA. When has a union ever had any political standing to fight a party? The only people that should be fighting the OBA is a PLP.
As the opposition.
As the opposition. Now, if the union is saying that we are fighting the OBA, then by de facto, that means they're fighting for
the PLP.
The PLP. Now, if you have a non-political entity fighting politically for one political side, then there should be a law against that too. I think there is.
It is a law. Because it's, the union is always supposed to be a strictly non-bipartisan.
It was set up as a non-partisan entity, and those union members that established the union, honestly, I think they will. I think if they were looking back at the union now, I think they'd be kind of disappointed, to be honest.
Yeah, extremely, because the premise is that whenever, oh yes, Miss Gordon Pamphlet, yes.
You just love her, don't you? Lord have mercy.
I love this woman because you know what? She stood there in the face of all that adversity and did not hurl one insult. And there was people out there calling her a disgrace, calling her a traitor, all manner.
People call us disgraces and traitors.
Hey, well listen.
What, man? People call us all kinds of stuff.
But this is what I'm saying. Oh my goodness, this is exactly why you need people that, you know, like, what, who? Get out of my shot. Get out.
We're just gonna pretend that didn't happen.
It happened. I'm sorry, Miss Pamphlet, we was talking about you.
Sorry.
My whole thing is, right, okay, so you have these union members brought in, right? Now, why exactly do you think that these specific members were brought in?
Probably the organizers.
There you go.
Because you can't arrest everybody.
It's still ringing.
It's on vibrate, don't worry about it.
It's bothering me. You can hear it. Do something. Turn it off. Answer.
I can't reach. I'll cut this out.
Anyway.
Back to what we were saying. Yeah, so it really boils down to it. Essentially, Laverne Ferber is asking people to basically disregard the law. Because whether or not you support the union, whether or not you don't support the union, if you choose to give money to this, then essentially you are donating to criminals. Mm-hmm. I mean, it sounds, dramatic when I say it like that, but at the end of the day, if you break the law, technically speaking, that's what you are. Now, some people are gonna say, oh, well, there's bigger things we need to worry about. Oh, well, there's other things that the police could be concentrating on, and yeah, that might be true. But at the same time, I'm very proud of the police system for actually doing something against the union, because too often some Bermudians think that they can do it just because it's Bermuda and nobody's gonna make a fuss about it. So it's nice to see that that's not as true as I thought it was.
Yeah, exactly. And also, at the end of the day, we have tolerated a partisan union.
Mm-hmm. It's a heavily partisan union.
Clearly in support of one side, which is obviously not what the Constitution is. It's not what they were supposed to be created for. That's not what they were created for. And they were supposed to be looking out for the blue-collar workers, but all I see is people losing pay. All I see is people being riled up, and they go out there and they're actually protesting for something they believe in. Because this is something that I think people look over. Mm-hmm. We group Chris Farber and the union members into one pot, but I feel like when he went up on that hill and he struck that deal with the OBA, he actually betrayed a lot of those union members down here who believed in what they were fighting for. They didn't want him to strike a deal. They wanted him to go up there and fight for their rights, which is what he's supposed to do, or what he was supposed to do when he was still in that position, was to fight for the rights of the blue-collar worker. At the end of the day, he went up there and he found a deal that was suitable for him, brought it back down the hill and told them, and that was it. So they essentially missed work for nothing. So I feel like that is a fact that lots of people just look over. Like, he is got his own agenda, and those up top that support him, I don't know where their allegiances lie. Because the union itself has now become baby PLP.
It's always been, it hasn't always been baby PLP, but for the last few years, it's been baby PLP.
Yeah.
For those of you who disagree with that, please go to one of these people campaign meetings or one of the union meetings and tell me otherwise.
And one quick thing too before. Why exactly is the actions of the police being tied to the government so heavily now versus prior to under the PLP? Because under the PLP, there was a lot of black people being arrested for misdemeanors and a lot of things happening like that, but it was never linked to the PLP because the cops operate independently, which they do. They do the protocols under,
If I didn't know any better, I would have thought it was Michael Dunkley and Craig Kennedy down there with the pepper spray spraying everybody themselves.
But this is what I'm saying.
But then again, they couldn't get to their offices, so they couldn't have been down there. So, hey, just saying.
But this is my point. if you are now wanting to link the police to the OBA to the government, then you're showing clear bias, because at the end of the day, when you block the House of Assembly, there is a reaction. There are protocols in place that even the premier can't really belay, because he had the option of asking the governor to call the regiment in.
Oh Lord, it would have been a wrap if they called the regiment.
But he chose not to, which proves that he obviously wanted the situation to be resolved non-violently. If he wanted that crowd smashed, then he would have just asked the governor to call the regiment in. They would have came with their riot gear and actually trained to do crowd control.
Yeah, because remember, the police are not trained for those types of situations.
Yeah, they're basic trained.
Basic training and full-on actual drills and, getting the proper gear to deal with that type of stuff. It's a lot different than basic training.
Yeah, man. I mean, the regiment has a unit set aside just for riot control. So,
and I'm sure that unit's begging for some action, but still.
But no one wants to call riot control troops on their own people.
No.
No one wants to be...
Ironically, that's what riot control is for, but nobody wants to make that call.
Nobody wants to make that call.
But look, let's wrap this up. At the end of the day, I told you so.
It's been the It's That Type of News. Let us know what you think. Like and subscribe.
You break the law, you go to jail. Check y'all later.